All right, today is day two, and we are continuing our study on Start with Why. Now, you might already have a paperback version on your shelf, and you can definitely read this. I will say I did find today that on Spotify, if you have a Spotify subscription, the book's also available as an audiobook for free, included with your Spotify. So that is definitely an option. If you're reading this and you're on day two, you're probably like, this is a pretty easy read. And he is going to continue to work on reinforcing what he's talking about with why, because it's such a simple concept. Many of us read it, and our rational brain will say, yeah, okay, I get it. But then doing something with it and actually applying it into your business, as we continue to read, it's going to spark some thought, hopefully. And so that you then have your why, your how, and your what very clearly articulated. So with each section that we are going within, with each part, so this is a six-part study, and we're going two chapters at a time, really making sure that we not only consciously understand, but we really truly understand that to infuse this into the DNA of our business. So we will be including homework as part of why we're stretching this out. So we could easily do this whole book in one or two sessions. But to really take the time, take the space to continue to reinforce this into us and into our business, doing this over 6 weeks is the intention is to make sure that we are doing the homework. It's giving us time because otherwise we would need a long weekend, no distractions, all together doing it, and then you're still going to need the time to continue to reinforce it. So, some of this, there's going to be discussion topics. If you are watching the replay, I would highly recommend to get your journal out and actually write about it. There is a really great app that someone told me about called Carbon Voice, and you can talk into it. It will not only transcribe it, it will enhance and summarize what you said as well. So then you can read it back to yourself, just again, to continue to reinforce this into our mind. So, our homework from session one, so this is session two, our homework from session one was to define your why, to write a paragraph statement answering why does your business exist? What greater purpose does it serve? And really breaking down the golden circle framework for your business. And you and your business will be a little bit different, but there will definitely be alignment. Now, an extra step that you could have added to that was analyzing a leader or business that you admire. So, again, homework to just continue infusing this so that your subconscious mind really gets it. So that as you just start talking about your business, and we mentioned another homework assignment could be if you're going to go live, talk about your why first. If you're going to do any type of thing, start with talking about your why first. Okay. So just continuing to reinforce this. So we are going to look at our concepts. We're going to have those discussions and always looking at walking away with those actionable takeaways. So today we are diving into clarity, discipline, consistency so that we really can build that loyalty and trust. So we need to really dive in and continue to reinforce why you do it, why they need it, how the why will be delivered, and how it will impact their lives. For example, he talks about in the book how Dell defines themselves by what they do. Apple focuses on why they do it and how they deliver their why. So, this is where I really ask you, how do you define your business? Are you trying to differentiate yourself from other people in the industry that are doing it? And And I find a lot of that comes from like trying to prove ourselves. It is very scarcity based, survival based. It's not a depth of what is really offered. So I had a call with someone today and really talking about like if you sell makeup, you're not selling makeup, right? It's why people buy makeup. What are they trying to accomplish with the makeup? Because it comes down to three core things that motivate people. Typically, it's more money or more wealth, which is often choice and freedom. And people want to save time and people want to improve their status, which those other two things can come back to that. And then uh, Simon Sinek also dives into the book of really the biology, and he's talking about the biology of people wanting to belong and how that belonging is really stemmed into people want to trust people and belong based on values and can they see a piece of themselves? And that's just the hardwiring of how our brain works. So, keeping that in mind as you're really looking at your why, your what, and your how, as a quick review from last week in week one and session one, we're going to just review these really quick. So our customer-centric storytelling is one way that we deliver our why. Um, we're looking at like this bigger purpose, this bigger impact. And then we're looking at how are we consistently showing up with behaviors, right? So Chick-fil-A famously says, my pleasure, right? And that's consistent with all locations. So we want to deliver that consistency, and it's because they intentionally chose that and they've intentionally made that a habit that they want to display. So looking at like what are the key habits that you want to display. I love one thing that some people do. They particularly do it for podcasting, but sometimes they'll do it for lives and they'll have like a quote or a slogan or a tagline that they will start, end with, and continue to reinforce throughout what they're saying. And so if you're going to have a tagline and how you're going to close out every live or any podcast, what would that be? So it's like, and remember, empowered people empower people. Remembering that you yourself and your journey, I'm kind of making this up on the go, you yourself and your journey is important. Your self-care is important because as you do that, you will empower others because empowered people empower people. So you have that tagline, reinforce it, and it comes back to your why. All right. So diving into the clarity of why, the discipline of how, and the consistency of what. Let's look at our why again. We're diving in deeper, I promise. Your why must be clear and easily understood by both your team, or imagine your future team, and your customers. So your customers must be able to clearly see. And again, as we go into Story Brand, our next book study, like this is really setting us up for that. And that one will be a four-part, so we'll get it done in a month. We're kind of diving in a little bit deeper on this one because it is such a strong foundation. In Story Brand, he says, if someone was to refer you, how could they quickly explain it to a friend what you do? And that was a big eye opener for me in noticing like it was really hard for me to articulate to people what I did at one point and there was no way that someone else was going to be able to articulate that for me. And then a discussion question to help with that is just how clear are you on your why? Like, how do customers explain what you do? And if you're not sure, go make a post. Like, pause and go make a post right now and say, like, what do you think it is that I do? I posted that a while back and it was quite funny where I did a GIF, like post a GIF of what you think I do. And a lot of people just thought I meditated all day long. It's quite funny. But it was really eye-opening, and I do recommend like go look at your business page and look at your profiles and really scan it for the first 3 to 5 posts and say if someone's to look at my last 3 to 5 posts, what would they think that I do? Am I articulating it? And really write down like where do you think you have room for improvement? As we dive into the next one is the how. So it's the second bullet point of discipline ensures that your process and values consistently reflect your why. And again, as I mentioned, Chick-fil-A in the, oh, it's our pleasure. That's definitely one of the disciplines that have had to be put in place. But what other things are you doing that is articulating that? So are there any processes in your business that don't align with your why? And this is where we start to get more intentional about like, what are our processes? Are they designed to come back to the feeling of the why? And he definitely discusses in the book, and I'd love for you all to comment on this as well, but talking about again how we're building trust and how we're displaying our values. We can go back to that slide of like the storytelling, the what we're posting, the how we're posting, the if my values, right, and what I'm teaching you all, the words that are coming out of my mouth and the things I'm telling people to do as a coach, am I doing those? Am I living my values? I have to constantly check myself on that. And it's I definitely catch myself on the regular of going, oh, whoops, gotta fix that because I'm human. And but as I choose my team members, as I choose new products to design, I'm also coming back to that as well. So that's where we dive into this next one is the consistency of what. So that's your products, your services, your messages that you deliver must consistently reflect your why to reinforce trust over time. So, do your branding, customer service, product delivery consistency reflect your why? And if you're struggling with your why, you've got to make sure you come to office hours or you have a one-on-one with me so that we can really make sure that that's clear. Okay. So, how, just a reminder, is what challenges do you face when you're trying to stay disciplined in the how? What is your bigger impact and mission? Why? Can you think of a time when your messaging or product or delivery didn't align with your why? And so I'm going to go through these kind of quickly. Feel free to pause to write down these questions. I would also make sure that you type these up for all of you all in the Business Growth Lab. I recommend one of our organization sessions that we did, and I will continue to reinforce, is to have a Google Drive folder or whatever drive you're using and have these key things like this clearly articulated so that you can keep coming back to them. If you are new at this particular business, or if you are redefining these things for the first time, it's going to take time to reinforce these things into your brain. And again, the reason why we're breaking this down week by week is to continue to reinforce those. All right. So, a shorter session today, but diving into, and I want to spend a little bit of time with this, is your customer journey map. This is something that's so, so important. This is how people find you. What is that first interaction with your customer? How does your customer want to feel? So, for example, for someone who might be trying to automate their messages, how are you going to make sure that that automation feels like the warm and fuzzy people just came into your shop and you're giving them that customer service level? When you are making connections and building relationships with people, how are you making them feel? And part of that is like making sure that you're not over giving as well, because you want to give them just enough to help them facilitate change, because everyone's wanting change, whether they're buying a physical product or a digital product or a service. So I want you to outline your typical customer journey. So what you've got going on right now, be super honest with yourself. and then write out what you would like it to look like. You can look for that one area where you can start to build trust and where you can start to make some shifts. Not telling you to redo the whole thing, not telling you have to have it all figured out today, but observe, take notes on how clarity, discipline, and consistency impact your business interactions this week. And as you're reaching out to people, start looking at what that customer journey map looks like. All right. All right. So, oh, well, should say part three. So I'll see you for part three. As we dive into part three, let me pull that up. It's leaders need a following. So we're going to be talking more about building that following. Super important. I'll see you for the next session.